Yo, what's going on, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back here to another episode of the Crash Course Metal Show. We are doing a Crash Course album review today, and that album is going to be to the new 2024 now, FerreTT, Glamdemic. Now, first and foremost, this is a band from New York, and they have, I think this is the third full-length album, and I believe they also have an EP. I wasn't able to really confirm that. I was just looking through their like Bandcamp and seeing, but this is the first album I have of theirs, and I kind of found this band somewhat, I guess, or it was around the time that this came out in April of 2024. But I remember whenever they released the Mr. Ass cover, which Mr. Ass was a wrestler in the early 2000s, late 90s during the Attitude Era, and I absolutely love that like original song. And I also I dug the cover too that they did. And I wish that it was actually put on this album. But I listened to that and I was like, okay, I can dig these guys. Like they're cool, they're glam. You know, they have that feel to them. Certainly the sound. And like, so as time went on, I just didn't get around to picking up the album, but I did see it at my local record store here the last couple weeks, and I saw it there, and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." I knew Fair from obviously Mr. Ass, and I was like, "Okay, let me take a chance on this," because I was talking to the owner of the store, and he was like, this is actually a pretty good album, you know, like worth taking a chance on." I was like, you know what, all right, you're convincing me here now. I mean, just from what I've seen before, because I didn't see no singles off of this album. So that's kind of why I was a little bit hesitant, but I got the okay from the record store owner from Extremities, and I was like, okay, let me take a chance on it. And I love the artwork here, as you guys can see that I put up beside me. The artwork's awesome. Totally has that like purple feel to it, or the glam metal purple feel to it, and also too, this is the CD. Like the CD like is classic 80s feel. You know, like when you look at your Rats, you know, even like a lot of the bands from back in the day, they had this like ring around the CD, you know, and usually it's red, but this is like a pinkish for Ferret. And it's just really cool, nostalgic and stuff. So I dig what they're trying to do here, and just awesome stuff. So let me introduce you to the band here. So you do have Bo Brent on vocals, you have Scotty Hart on guitars, you also have Cool Hand Luke on guitars as well. You got Del Rio on bass, and then you got Juan Savage on the drums. So a five piece. And now, like I said, I didn't hear any of the singles first. So I just kind of jumped into this album without hearing anything. And other than, like I said, that cover, and that kind of gave me a feel of what I was expecting. But certainly this was a surprise, because the best way I can kind of describe their sound is like, if anyone's familiar, obviously, with the time of like 1999, from starting with like you know, Rest in Sleaze from Crash Diet and Dirty Penny and stuff, and then once you like during that renaissance time of like glam metal, hair metal, if you will, from 99 to like 2010, give or take, they would have fit perfectly, because like even like Paris Records and like some other record, like small record companies and stuff, were putting out like some of the Renaissance bands were kind of had like a sound of real heavy punk influence, you know, inside the glam Renaissance of the 2000 early 2000s. So, and that's where what I totally think of this album, you know, like their sound. So, and at first I was like, oh shit, okay, this might be a little bit on like more of the punk than I would like, but it, as the more times I spun it, I was like, okay, this, I was kind of maybe overreacting a little bit to that, and I was starting to dig it as more times went on. So let us get into the track listings here. So you have here the first track, Let It All Hang Out on a Saturday Night. Really cool. Like as soon as this opens up, he's like, it's Saturday, let's get fucked up, you know, like, and you have my attention once you say that. Once you have to say that phrase, you know, once you say those collective words like that in that order, you're it's like, okay, yeah, the weekend's here, let's have some fun.
Why not? Ain't gonna be no preaching, just gonna be some drinking.
Good song. And then now the next one is they do have a music video for this single. Don't Tell Jen. Catchy. Now I will say, I after I bought this album, I was like, the next night I was on YouTube listening to this single because I was like, let me see if they have any music videos for this album yet, and they do, and it was "Don't Tell Jen" here. When I first heard the song, I was kind of like, it's okay, but the more I'm listening to it, though, I'm like, okay, this is a good song. Nothing that now I don't know if I would necessarily put it out as a single though. I will. That is where I, especially the first single, if it is the first single, but I can't remember seeing any other video off from this album. I could be wrong, but just from what I've seen.
Hey, this is Michael Kelly Smith from Brittany Fox. You're watching the Crash Course Metal Show. Rock on.
Now the next track is one of the coolest tracks on this album, and it's the title track, Glamdemic. It's basically like yeah, fuck your grunge. We're gonna wipe Seattle off the map.
Hell yes.
Just the grunge movement in general, like glam metal's coming back. It's just really cool. I think it would have been even like more of a fuck you song, like say in 2005 or when the Renaissance was actually going on of glam metal. But it's still an awesome song, still like our anthem. Like this is an anthem type song, that you want to draw the line in the sand and say, yeah, fuck grunge. That it only lasted for a couple years, and rightfully so, because it obviously wasn't that good. So, and glam metal, sleaze metal got totally cut out from the knees because of that, and it's just a goddamn shame because sleaze metal was the next evolution, in my opinion, of hair metal, and it got totally railroaded, and it was the best era, 1990, 1993 for hair metal, in my opinion. So, great song, the title track, Glamdemic, awesome stuff. Now the next one here is Hat Trick, which is okay. I can listen to it, but it's not going to make the iPod for me. Next one is kind of like a ballad, which I really dig on this. It's it's not hard to let go. Very good, because it starts out like the first minute of like an acoustic type feel, like what kind of like what you would expect from a ballad, but then it starts to get a little heavier after that. They start adding electric guitars, really good stuff. It's kind of like maybe a little bit of an anti-ballad, but I like it a lot. I think it's really good. Uh, Opposite maybe of a perfect follow-up song of the title track Glamdemic. Just if you had to listen to two songs off this album, these are the two songs. So next one is Drinking Beers, just a fun song. Not the best song on the album, but it's a fun one. The chorus is cool and catchy. I dig it. Amateur Night, this is another one that's not going to make the iPod. So those two tracks are the weakest in my opinion, Amateur Night and Hat Trick. So moving on here, we got Amber Alert, which is kind of cool in and of itself. Like they have the guitars kind of like sounding like sirens a little bit throughout the song, so that's kind of cool. But no, I dig it. I dig this song. The next one's kind of weird to explain and kind of sounds a little bit different than anything else on this album. Farmer Vincent's Fritters. It's very upbeat, up-paced, and has a different feel to it, I would say, than the rest of the album. Still a good song though. I dig it. Like it is going to be on the iPod, but just certainly different lyrical content. If the best way I can kind of like describe it, you just kind of have to hear it for yourself to really kind of know what I'm talking about. So the final track here is actually like an interesting one because obviously when you're talking about glam metal, hair metal, sleaze metal, you're not really talking about epic style songs as far as like length. Not necessarily, this doesn't sound like power metal or anything, but as far as like length, this is an 8-minute song, and they kind of deviate a little bit, like go through a couple different sounds or whatever, if you will, pacing and stuff like that. House of the Holy for Food for the Gods, and I actually dig it. Like when I'm listening to it, it has a good rhythm, good beat to it throughout the song. I actually like it for what it is. Certainly making the iPod. So, like I said, guys, it's a pretty good way to end out the album. With an 8-minute track like that, I'm cool with that. So you did have 10 tracks total, which is perfect for me. Like, I think this is good. If you would have had any more on here, the chances of more filler would have been extremely high, in my opinion. So I think this is a good sweet spot. 10 songs, 8 of them are on the iPod. 2 of them are a little weaker, so I don't really need to hear those again. But of these 8 tracks that I dig, definitely check out the title track Glamdemic and the anti-ballad, if you will. It's not hard to let go. So as far as a ranking for this album, I think I'm going to give it a 3.5. Now, I did do my 2004's ranking. Sadly, I wasn't able to get it in time for that, but I don't think it would have made the top 5. It would have certainly made the honorable mentions because I really dig like what they're trying to do, their sound, just like the artwork and stuff. So, and also too, like with the artwork, when you open it up to the whole like picture, you see here it's connected on the back and the front. So kind of like a little bit like Somewhere in Time from Iron Maiden. If you guys know what that looks like when you open up the gatefold and such like that, or the CD fold booklet, it's all connected and it has like little like nods or Easter eggs in it to their previous stuff. This kind of gives me that same feeling. Now, like, I don't know if there is any Easter eggs per se, but like there's a wizard here. There's Jason. There's a couple glam guys in the back at the entrance. And and I think one of the other reasons too, like obviously they have ferrets here as seems like as the band. And I think if I remember seeing correctly that the band or this album is dedicated to one of their pet ferrets that died. And which is interesting because you don't see that like hardly at all. So and that's kind of like their mascot now, if you will. I mean, like I said, I'm just kind of like new to this band, so if you guys know anything, let me know in the comments what if you guys have any information. But it's just kind of interesting and different, but definitely cool in its own right. You know, I'm glad that I added this to the collection here finally, and I just wish that I'm an Ass Man, the Mr. Ass song was on this. So I'm quite interested to see if they're going to add it to the next album or EP, if you will. So quite excited with this album. 3.5 out of 5. Now, like I said, every time I spin it, it does get a little bit better. So who knows? It might get a little bit higher for me over this year and the next year. So definitely, guys, check out FerreTT from New York. If you like that Renaissance feel, a little bit of a punk influence edge to their sound, to the pacing and stuff, certainly check out Glamdemic. Good stuff. I'm recommending it to everyone that likes that kind of era of the Renaissance of glam metal and such. So certainly, guys, check that out. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, click the thumbs up. It's still free to click the thumbs up. It doesn't cost you guys anything, and it helps us get all these videos and all this music out to fans and fans that aren't even aware that they're fans of these bands and this music and such like that, out to everyone. So definitely, guys, click the like button, click the subscribe button, hang out with us as well. That's what we like. We want to build this community, and definitely stay out of that collateral damage, guys. And until next time, if you guys enjoyed this review, check out this one right here.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.